Kang Tae-ho wiped the sweat from his forehead as he finished checking his cargo ship's fuel lines. Nexus Station was always hot and smelly, but it was the best place to get cheap fuel on the outer rim. The massive space station floated in the darkness between star systems, a place where traders, pirates, and outcasts all came to do business. Tae-ho was just a cargo pilot. He moved goods from one planet to another, nothing fancy. His ship was old and small, but it was his. He had bought it with money saved from years of working for other people. Now he was his own boss, even if the pay was not great. The station was busy today. Aliens of many different types walked through the corridors. Some looked almost human, while others were so strange that Tae-ho still felt surprised when he saw them. He had been doing this job for 3 years now, but he never got completely used to it. He was putting his tools away when he heard voices coming from the maintenance area. The voices sounded angry. Tae-ho normally minded his own business, but something about the sounds made him stop and listen. "Give us the crystal, blue skin," a rough voice shouted in broken galactic common. "We know you have it." Tae-ho looked around the corner and saw 3 large aliens surrounding a smaller figure. The 3 aliens were Rakthul. He could tell by their thick reptilian skin and the way they walked. Rakthul were known as pirates and bullies throughout the galaxy. They were strong and mean, and most people tried to stay away from them. The smaller figure was a female alien with pale blue skin that seemed to glow slightly in the dim light. She was beautiful in a strange way, with large eyes and long white hair. Tae-ho had never seen her type before, but she looked scared and desperate. "Please, I am protected by diplomatic law," the woman said in perfect galactic common. Her voice was soft but clear. "I carry important documents for my government. You cannot touch me." The largest Rakthul laughed, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Diplomatic law? Here? This is Nexus Station, little one. The only law here is who has the biggest weapon." The alien woman backed against the wall, holding a small bag close to her chest. "I have nothing of value to you. Please, just let me go." "That crystal you carry is worth more than this whole station," another Rakthul said. "Hand it over and maybe we let you live." Tae-ho felt his heart beat faster. He should walk away. This was not his problem. Getting involved with Rakthul pirates was a good way to end up dead. But something about the woman's fear made him angry. She was clearly alone and helpless, and these bullies were threatening her. He thought about his sister back on Earth. She was about the same size as this alien woman. How would he feel if 3 big aliens were threatening her in some dark corner of space? Before he could change his mind, Tae-ho stepped out from behind the corner. "Hey!" he called out. "Leave her alone!" All 4 aliens turned to look at him. The Rakthul looked surprised, then amused. The blue woman looked confused and worried. "A human?" the lead Rakthul said. "What do you want, little man? This is not your business." "I am making it my business," Tae-ho said, walking closer. His hands were shaking, but he tried to look brave. 3 against 1 is not fair. Pick on someone your own size." The Rakthul laughed again. "You want to fight us? You are tiny. We could break you like a stick." "Maybe," Tae-ho said, "but I am not going to watch you hurt someone who cannot fight back." The blue woman stared at him with wide eyes. "Human, you should go. This is dangerous. They will kill you." "Probably," Tae-ho agreed. "But sometimes doing the right thing is dangerous." The lead Rakthul pulled out a plasma pistol. "Last chance. Human, walk away or we shoot you." Tae-ho looked at the weapon, then at the scared woman, then back at the Rakthul. His mouth was dry and his heart was beating so fast he thought it might explode. But he did not move. No. He said simply. What happened next was chaos. The Rakthul fired his weapon, but Tai-Ho was already moving. The plasma bolt burned the air where his head had been a second before. Tai-Ho grabbed a heavy tool from a nearby cart and threw it at the shooter. It hit the alien in the face, making him roar in pain and anger. The other two Rakthul rushed at Tai-Ho. He was not a trained fighter, just a regular guy who had learned some basic self-defense. But he was desperate and angry, and sometimes that was enough. He managed to dodge the first attacker and kick him in the knee. The alien stumbled, but did not fall. The second one grabbed Tai-Ho from behind, lifting him off the ground. Tai-Ho could smell the alien's horrible breath and feel the sharp claws digging into his arms. The blue woman suddenly cried out, and the Rakthul holding Tai-Ho screamed and let him go. The alien grabbed his head as if he was in terrible pain. Tai-Ho did not understand what happened, but he did not waste the chance. He grabbed a metal pipe and hit the confused alien as hard as he could. The fight continued for what felt like hours, but was probably only a few minutes. Tai-Ho managed to hurt two of the Rakthul badly enough that they could not fight well, but he was also hurt. Plasma burns covered his chest and arms. His ribs felt broken. Blood ran down his face from cuts made by alien claws. The third Rakthul, the leader, was still strong and very angry. He pointed his weapon at Tai-Ho again. "You die now, human!" he growled. But before he could fire, station security finally arrived. The sound of their boots running down the corridor made the Rakthul look up. He cursed in his own language, then ran away with his wounded friends. Tai-Ho fell to his knees, breathing hard and bleeding. The blue woman rushed to his side. "You are badly hurt," she said, touching his face gently. Her hands felt cool and somehow soothing. "Why did you help me? You do not even know me." "Did not want to see them hurt you," Tai-Ho said weakly. "It was not right." "You may die from these wounds," the woman said. Tears were running down her blue cheeks. "And it is my fault." "Not your fault," Tai-Ho said. "My choice." The woman helped him stand up. "We must get you to medical help. My ship has healing technology." "My ship," Tai-Ho said, pointing down the corridor. "Closer." Together they made their way to Tai-Ho's cargo ship. Each step was painful, and black spots danced in front of his eyes. The woman supported him, talking softly in her own language. The sounds were beautiful, like music. Inside his ship, Tai-Ho collapsed on his small medical bed. The woman worked over him with supplies from his basic medical kit, but they both knew it was not enough. His injuries were too serious. "What is your name?" he asked weakly. "Yonari," she said. "And you?" "Kang Tai-Ho." "Tai-Ho," she repeated, pronouncing it carefully. "You are a good man, Tai-Ho. Better than most." Tai-Ho smiled, despite the pain. "Just tried to do right thing." As darkness closed in around him, he felt Nari's cool hands on his forehead. The last thing he heard was her voice, speaking in that musical language, and somehow he felt peaceful, even though he was probably dying. Tai-Ho woke up slowly, like coming up from deep water. Everything felt strange and different. His body did not hurt anymore, which surprised him. The last thing he remembered was lying in his ship, bleeding and probably dying. He opened his eyes and saw a ceiling that was not his. The walls around him were smooth and white, with a soft blue glow that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. The air smelled clean and fresh like flowers after rain. "You are awake?" a familiar voice said. Tae-ho turned his head and saw Nari sitting beside his bed. She looked relieved and happy. Her blue skin seemed to glow brighter than before, and her white hair was arranged in a complex style that made her look more formal. "Where am I?" Tae-ho asked. His voice sounded strange to his own ears, stronger somehow. "You are on my people's ship," Nari said. "We have been traveling for 3 days while you healed." Tae-ho sat up carefully, expecting pain, but felt only a slight stiffness. He looked down at his chest where the plasma burns had been. The skin was perfect, with no sign of injury. "How is this possible?" he asked, touching his chest. "I was dying." "My people have very advanced medical technology," Nari explained. "But even with our best healers, you almost did not survive. Your injuries were very serious." Tae-ho swung his legs over the side of the bed and stood up. He felt strong, stronger than he had ever felt before. His senses seemed sharper, too. He could hear the soft hum of the ship's engines, smell the faint scent of Nari's perfume, see tiny details in the wall patterns that he probably would not have noticed before. "I feel different," he said. Nari looked uncomfortable. "There is something I must tell you. During the healing process, something unexpected happened. It was not planned." "What kind of something?" "My people, the Villani, are telepathic. We can sense thoughts and emotions from others. Usually we control this ability carefully, but when I was healing you, I was very worried and not thinking clearly. Some of my telepathic energy mixed with your life force." Tae-ho stared at her. "What does that mean?" "It means we are connected now. You can probably sense my emotions if you try, and I can sense yours. Your body has also been enhanced. You will heal faster, react quicker, and live longer than normal humans." Tae-ho tried to understand what she was saying. As he focused on Nari, he could indeed feel something. Worry, fear, and something else. "Sadness? You are afraid," he said suddenly. "And you feel guilty about something." Nari's eyes widened. "Yes, the connection works both ways. I am afraid because what happened between us is very serious among my people, and I feel guilty because I changed you without asking permission." "Changed me how?" Before Nari could answer, the door to the medical room opened and several other Villani entered. They were all tall and graceful, with the same blue skin and white hair as Nari, but they wore formal robes with complex patterns. One of them, an older male, stepped forward. "The human is awake," he said in heavily accented galactic common. "Good. We must speak with him." Nari stood up quickly. "Honored Elder Veltar, he has just awakened. Perhaps we should wait." "No," the elder said firmly. "This cannot wait. Human, I am Veltar Kethan, advisor to the Villani High Council. You have created a situation that requires immediate attention." Tae-ho looked between Nari and the elder, confused. "I do not understand. I just tried to help her." "Yes, and in doing so, you have bound yourself to our royal family through an ancient ritual called the Cathara. You see, human, the woman you saved is not just any Villani. She is Princess Yeon Nari, heir to the throne of the Villani Consortium." Tae-ho felt like someone had hit him with a heavy object. "Princess?" Nari nodded sadly. "I was traveling to a diplomatic meeting when the pirates found me. The crystal they wanted contains the locations of our most sacred places. If it fell into the wrong hands, it could be used to attack sites that are very important to our culture and defense. But you looked so helpless, Teho said. I am trained in diplomacy, not fighting, Nari explained. My people are peaceful. We prefer to solve problems with words and wisdom, not violence. That is why what you did was so unusual for us to witness. Elder Veltar stepped closer. In our culture, anyone who sheds blood to protect a member of the royal family creates a life debt. But what you did was more than that. You were willing to die for someone you had never met, expecting no reward. This triggered the Cathara, an ancient bonding that has not happened for over 1,000 years. What does that mean for me? Teho asked. It means you are no longer fully human, Veltar said bluntly. The princess's telepathic abilities have permanently changed your biology. You will live much longer than normal humans, perhaps several 100 years. Your physical abilities are enhanced, and you have a psychic connection to Princess Nari that cannot be broken. Teho sat down heavily on the medical bed. This was too much to process. A few days ago, he was just a simple cargo pilot. Now he was some kind of enhanced human connected to an alien princess. I can sense your confusion, Nari said softly. I am sorry this happened to you. If I had been more careful during the healing, it might have been avoided. Can it be reversed? Teho asked. Veltar shook his head. The Cathara bond is permanent. You are linked to our princess for life. This creates complications. What kind of complications? Political ones, another Vallani elder said. Our people have been watching humanity for many years. You are a young species, full of potential but also dangerous. Some of our people think humans are too violent and unpredictable to trust. But others, Veltar continued, believe that humans have qualities we lack. Courage, creativity, the willingness to fight for what is right even when it seems hopeless. What you did for our princess proves this. Nari moved closer to Teho. The High Council wants to meet you. They want to understand what kind of species produces individuals like you. And if they decide they do not like what they see, then the relationship between our peoples could become very difficult, Veltar said honestly. The Vallani Consortium is one of the most powerful civilizations in this part of the galaxy. How we view humanity will influence how other species treat you. Teho felt overwhelmed. Through his new connection to Nari, he could sense her emotions more clearly now. She was worried about him, but also excited about the possibilities. She genuinely cared about what happened to him. What do you want me to do? He asked. Meet with the High Council, Nari said. Show them that humans can be noble and honorable. Help them understand that your people deserve respect and friendship. I am just a cargo pilot, Teho protested. I am not a diplomat or a leader. I do not know how to talk to powerful people. You do not need fancy words, Nari said, placing her hand on his arm. Through their connection, he felt warmth and encouragement flowing from her. Just be yourself. Be the man who was willing to die for a stranger because it was the right thing to do. Veltar and the other elders left them alone to talk. Nari sat beside Teho on the medical bed. I know. This is frightening, she said. Your whole life has changed in ways you never expected. But I want you to know that I am grateful for what you did. And I will help you through this, whatever happens. Teho looked at her beautiful alien face and felt something he had never experienced before. Through their psychic link, their emotions mixed together, creating a warmth that seemed to fill his entire being. What happens if the council decides they do not trust humans? He asked. Then we will deal with that when it happens. Nari said firmly. But I believe in you, Tae-ho. You showed me that humans have good hearts. Now you have a chance to show my people the same thing. As their ship traveled through space toward the Vellani homeworld, Tae-ho tried to prepare himself for whatever was coming. He was no longer just a simple cargo pilot. Whether he wanted it or not, he had become something more. And the future of humanity might depend on how well he could prove that his species deserved a place among the stars. 2 months had passed since Tae-ho met with the Vellani High Council. The meeting had gone better than expected. The council elders were impressed by his honesty and simple desire to do what was right. They decided that humans showed promise and should be given a chance to prove themselves as a species. But now, Tae-ho was back in human space, and everything felt wrong. His enhanced senses made the crowded space stations feel overwhelming. He could hear conversations 3 rooms away and smell things that made him sick. Worst of all, he could sense the emotions of people around him, and most of those emotions were not pleasant. He was sitting in a bar on Titan Station, trying to drink a beer and forget about his problems. The beer tasted strange now, too strong and bitter. Even simple pleasures from his old life did not work anymore. Through his psychic connection to Nari, he could feel that she was troubled. Something was happening in Vellani space, something that made her afraid and angry. But the connection only worked one way for emotions. He could not talk to her directly across the vast distance between them. "Another drink?" the bartender asked. He was a big human with scars on his face, probably an ex-military man who had found work on the stations. "No thanks," Tae-ho said. "Actually, can I ask you something? Have you heard any news about alien activity in the outer systems?" The bartender laughed. "You mean more than usual? There are always aliens causing trouble out there. Pirates, smugglers, crazy religious groups. Why do you care?" "I think something big is happening. More attacks on peaceful colonies, more ships disappearing. The pattern is different." "Listen, friend," the bartender said, leaning closer. "My advice is to mind your own business. Getting involved with alien politics is a good way to end up dead. Just fly your cargo runs and stay out of trouble." This was the same response Tae-ho got everywhere he went. Humans knew there were problems in space, but they did not want to think about them. Earth's government was more interested in making money from trade deals than understanding what was really happening in the galaxy. Tae-ho had tried to contact Earth's Alien Relations Department with his concerns. They listened politely, then told him they would look into it. But he could sense through their emotions that they thought he was just another spacer with too much time and too many stories. His communicator buzzed with an incoming message. Tae-ho looked at the display and saw it was from his old friend Park, So-jin. She was another cargo pilot, someone he had worked with before he got his own ship. "Tae-ho, I need to see you," her message said. "Something has happened. Meet me at Docking Bay 12 on Ceres Station. It is important." Tae-ho finished his beer and left the bar. So-jin sounded worried, and she was not someone who scared easily. If she said it was important, it probably was. The trip to Ceres Station took 6 hours. During the flight, Tae-ho felt Nari's emotions getting stronger and more desperate. Whatever was happening in her part of space was getting worse. He found So-jin waiting for him in the docking bay. She looked tired and scared, not like the confident pilot he remembered. "So-jin, what is wrong?" he asked. "Tae-ho, thank the stars you came," she said, grabbing his arm. "I just got back from the Kepler system. It was horrible." "What happened?" "The colony on Kepler 7 is gone." completely destroyed. When I arrived to make my delivery, there was nothing left but wreckage and bodies floating in space. Tae-ho felt cold. Pirates? No, this was different. The ships that attacked them were huge, military grade, and the survivors I picked up, they said the attackers were not just stealing. They were taking prisoners, especially anyone with psychic abilities or advanced technical knowledge. Survivors? How many? Only 12, out of a colony of 3,000 people. And get this, 3 of them were Villani diplomats who had been visiting the colony. They said this was not a random attack. Someone knew exactly what they were looking for. Tae-ho's mind raced. Through his connection to Nari, he could feel her fear spiking suddenly, as if she had sensed his thoughts. "Where are the survivors now?" he asked. "Medical station on Europa. The Villani are in bad shape. The attackers did something to them, something that hurt their minds. The human doctors do not know how to help them." "I need to see them," Tae-ho said. "Why? What do you know about this?" Tae-ho looked at his friend. Sojin had always been straight with him, and she deserved an honest answer. "Something happened to me a few months ago. I saved a Villani woman from pirates, and now I am connected to their people in ways I do not fully understand. I think these attacks are part of something bigger." Sojin stared at him. "Connected how?" "It is complicated, but I might be able to help those Villani survivors, and they might be able to tell us what is really happening." They traveled together to Europa's medical station. The facility was crowded with refugees from various attacks across the outer systems. Tae-ho was shocked to see how many people had been displaced in just the past few weeks. The Villani survivors were in a special ward, isolated from the other patients. When Tae-ho saw them, he understood why. Their blue skin had turned pale and gray, and they moved like people in pain. Worse, he could sense their mental anguish through his enhanced abilities. One of them, a young male, looked up when Tae-ho entered the room. His eyes widened in surprise. "You carry the mark of the Cathara," he said weakly. "How is this possible for a human?" "Princess Nari saved my life," Tae-ho explained. "And I think I might be able to help you." He sat beside the injured Villani and carefully reached out with his new psychic abilities. It was like touching something broken and painful, but he persisted. Slowly, he began to understand what had been done to them. "They used some kind of mental weapon," Tae-ho said to Sojin. "It attacks telepathic minds directly, causing incredible pain and confusion. But there is something else. The attackers were looking for specific information." "What kind of information?" Sojin asked. The Villani survivor gripped Tae-ho's hand. "Coordinates," he whispered. "They wanted to know the locations of our sacred sites, our hidden bases, our defense networks. When we refused to tell them, they used the pain device." "Did they get the information?" "Some of it," the Villani admitted sadly. "We tried to resist, but the pain was too great. They know where to find some of our people's most important places." Tae-ho felt a chill of fear that was not his own. Through his connection to Nari, he could sense that she had just learned something terrible. "I need to contact the princess," he told Sojin. "Right now." They found a secure communication terminal. Tae-ho sent an emergency message to the Villani diplomatic channels, using the special codes Nari had given him. Within minutes, her face appeared on the screen. She looked exhausted and frightened. "Tae-ho, thank the ancestors you contacted me," she said. "Our outer colonies are under attack. The enemy knows exactly where to strike for maximum damage." "I know," Tejo said. I am with some of your people who survived an attack. They said the attackers used mental weapons to extract information. Yes, and we have discovered something worse. There is a traitor among our people, someone high in our government who is providing information to the enemy. We do not know who to trust. What can I do to help? Nari was quiet for a moment, then her expression became determined. You are human. The enemy would not suspect you of working with us, and your connection to me allows us to communicate across great distances. I need you to investigate something for us. What kind of investigation? We believe the attacks are being coordinated from a base in neutral space, somewhere between our territory and yours. But we cannot send our own ships to investigate without causing a diplomatic incident. A human cargo pilot, however, could go there without attracting attention. So Jin stepped into view of the camera. Princess, I am Tejo's friend. If he is going into danger, he should not go alone. And I know other humans who might help, Tejo added. People who have had good experiences with your people and understand what is at stake. Nari nodded. Gather who you can trust. But be careful. If we are right about this, you will be going up against enemies who have no mercy for anyone who gets in their way. After ending the communication, Tejo and So-Jin began making plans. They contacted Kim Woo-bin, an engineer whose family had been saved by Volani doctors during a plague outbreak. They also reached out to Lee Da-un, a former Marine who had served alongside Volani peacekeepers and respected their honor. Within a week, they had assembled a small team of humans who were willing to help. None of them were soldiers or spies, just ordinary people who believed in doing what was right. As they prepared for their mission, Tejo felt the weight of responsibility. Through his connection to Nari, he could sense the growing crisis in Volani space. Innocent people were dying, and the attacks were getting worse. But he also felt something else, determination. The same feeling that had made him step in to help a stranger was now driving him to help protect an entire civilization. Whatever it cost him, he would not let the enemy destroy the peace that Nari's people had worked so hard to build. The mission to investigate the enemy base had revealed the horrible truth. Elder Veltar Kethan, the same Volani who had explained the Kethara bond to Tejo, was the traitor. He had been feeding information to a coalition of aggressive alien species led by the Rakthul Empire. Their plan was to conquer Volani space and use captured telepaths to control other species. Now, 3 weeks later, Tejo and his small team of humans were hiding in an asteroid field near the Volani homeworld. The war had begun, and it was going badly for Nari's people. Another refugee ship coming in, So-Jin reported from the pilot's seat. Looks like it is barely holding together. Through the view screen, Tejo could see the damaged Volani vessel limping toward the inner system. Its hull was scarred by weapon fire, and several sections were completely dark. Inside that ship were probably hundreds of civilians fleeing from worlds that had been attacked. How many does that make today? Asked Woo-bin, their engineer. 17, Da-un said grimly. The former Marine was monitoring communication channels, and according to the military broadcasts, the enemy is only 2 days away from the home world. Tejo closed his eyes and reached out through his psychic connection to Nari. She was on the planet's surface, helping to coordinate the defense. He could feel her exhaustion and desperation. The Volani military was brave, but not used to this kind of brutal warfare. The enemy has taken the outer defense stations, he reported to his team. Nari says their ships are bigger and more heavily armed than anything the Villani have. What about their allies? Sojin asked. Other species that might help them? Most are too far away, and the ones that are close are too scared to get involved. The enemy coalition is too strong. Daon slammed her fist on the console. This is not right. The Villani are good people. They helped my unit when we were trapped on Zerion 4. They did not have to risk their own people, but they did it anyway. I know, Taeho said. But what can we do? We are just 4 people in an old cargo ship. Maybe, Wubin said slowly, but we are human people, and humans think differently than other species. He brought up a holographic display showing the enemy fleet positions. Look at their formation. It is logical, efficient, designed to minimize losses while maximizing firepower. Very predictable. So? Sojin asked. So humans do not think like that. We take crazy risks. We try things that make no sense. Sometimes that gets us killed, but sometimes it wins battles that should be impossible to win. Taeho felt a spark of hope. What are you thinking? The enemy flagship is in the center of their formation, heavily protected, but it is also their command center. If something happened to it, their whole attack might fall apart. You want us to attack a battleship? With our cargo hauler? Sojin said. That is not crazy. That is suicide. Not attack, Wubin corrected. Sabotage. I have been studying the enemy ship designs from the intelligence we gathered. They all use the same basic power systems. If we could get inside one of their ships and cause the right kind of overload, boom, Daon finished. But how do we get inside an enemy battleship? Taeho was already forming a plan. It was insane, but that might be exactly why it could work. We surrender. The others stared at him. What? Think about it. They are taking prisoners, especially anyone with valuable skills or information. What if a group of humans contacted them, claiming to have intelligence about Earth's defenses? They would want to capture us alive. And then we get taken to their flagship for interrogation. Once we are inside, Wubin can sabotage their systems while the rest of us create a distraction. So, Jin shook her head. That plan has about 1,000 ways to go wrong. Yes, Taeho agreed. But if it works, we might save millions of lives. Through his connection to Nari, he felt her sudden attention. She had sensed his emotions and was trying to understand what he was planning. There is something else, he said quietly. Nari can sense my thoughts and feelings through our bond. If we get captured, she will know what we are doing. She might be able to coordinate the Villani response to take advantage of the confusion we create. They spent the next hour refining the plan. It was still incredibly dangerous, but it was better than watching the Villani homeworld fall to the enemy. Taeho sent a message to Nari through secure channels, explaining what they intended to do. Her response was immediate and emotional. No, her voice said through the communicator. It is too dangerous. I will not lose you. You might lose me anyway if we do nothing, Taeho replied. At least this way my friends and I can make a difference. There has to be another way. If there is, we have not found it. The enemy will be at your homeworld in 2 days. This might be the only chance to stop them. There was a long silence. Then Nari spoke again, her voice steady but sad. If you are determined to do this, then I will make sure your sacrifice means something. The fleet commanders are ready to act as soon as you give the signal. We will not let you down, Taeho promised. They moved their ship closer to the enemy fleet and began broadcasting a surrender message. Within an hour, 3 enemy warships had surrounded them. Taeho and his team were taken prisoner and transferred to the flagship. The enemy ship was huge and dark, with corridors that felt more like tunnels. The Rakthul guards were cruel, but not particularly smart. They seemed to enjoy having human. Prisoners Taeho and his friends were separated for interrogation. As he was dragged through the ship, Taeho tried to memorize the layout. Through his enhanced senses, he could hear the ship's engines and feel the vibrations of its massive weapon systems. The interrogation was brutal. The enemy commander, a huge Rakthul with scars covering his face, used both physical pain and mental torture devices. But Tai-Ho had expected this. He fed them false information about Earth's defenses while trying to learn about their plans. "Your homeworld will fall after we finish with the Villani," the commander growled. "Your species is too weak to resist us." "Maybe," Taeho said through bloody lips, "but we are too stubborn to give up." Meanwhile, Woo-Bin was being held in a different section of the ship. The guards had underestimated him, thinking he was just a simple mechanic. They did not know he had spent years working on fusion reactors and power distribution systems. Using tools he had hidden in his clothes and parts scavenged from the cell, Woo-Bin began working on the ship's power grid. It was delicate work. Too much damage too quickly would trigger safety systems, but a careful overload in the right place could cause a catastrophic cascade failure. So-Jin and Da-Un were creating their own kind of chaos. So-Jin used her knowledge of ship systems to cause accidents with life support and artificial gravity. Da-Un, with her military training, had already taken out 2 guards and was working her way toward the weapon control center. Through his Iamese psychic link with Nari, Taeho could feel the Villani fleet moving into position. They were waiting for his signal, ready to attack as soon as the enemy flagship was disabled. The moment came when Woo-Bin finished his sabotage. Taeho felt the ship's power fluctuations through his enhanced senses and knew it was time. He sent a mental message to Nari, "Now!" What followed was chaos beyond anything Taeho had ever experienced. The enemy flagship's power systems began failing in sequence. Lights went out, gravity fluctuated, and weapon systems shut down. At the same time, the Villani fleet attacked, their ships appearing from behind asteroids and space debris where they had been hiding. The enemy was caught completely off guard. Their careful formations fell apart as ship captains tried to figure out what was happening to their flagship. Some tried to help the command ship while others moved to defend themselves against the Villani attack. In the confusion, Taeho and his team fought their way to an escape pod. But as they reached the launch bay, they were confronted by the enemy commander and a squad of guards. "You will die for this, human!" the Rakthul roared, raising his weapon. But before he could fire, the ship's main reactor finally overloaded. The explosion tore through the flagship's hull, and Taeho felt himself being thrown through space as the escape pod launched automatically. The destruction of the enemy flagship turned the tide of the battle. Without their command center, the coalition forces fell into chaos. Some ships fled, while others were destroyed by the coordinated Villani counterattack. When rescue ships found Taeho and his friends floating in their damaged escape pod, the battle was already won. The enemy invasion had been stopped, and the Villani homeworld was safe. But the cost had been high. Thousands of people on both sides had died, and entire worlds had been devastated. As Taeho was taken to a medical ship, he wondered if their victory had been worth the price. Through his connection to Nari, he felt her relief and joy at his survival. But he also sensed her grief for all the lives that had been lost. War left, scars that would take a long time to heal, even when the right side won. 6 months after the war ended, Tae-ho stood on the observation deck of the Villani homeworld's capital city. The view was beautiful, crystal spires reaching toward the sky, gardens that glowed with bioluminescent plants, and flying vehicles that moved in graceful patterns through the air. But what made him happiest was the sense of peace he could feel from the people below. "The reconstruction is going well," Nari said as she joined him at the window. She wore simple clothes instead of her royal robes, and her hair hung loose around her shoulders. "The outer colonies will be fully rebuilt within a year. And the prisoners we rescued? Most have recovered completely. Your people's intervention made it possible to develop better treatments for the mental weapons the enemy used." Tae-ho nodded, but his expression remained serious. "What about the other species, the ones who were part of the coalition?" "The Rakthul Empire has agreed to pay reparations and withdraw from all conquered territories. The other species involved claim they were forced to participate and are cooperating with our investigation. Whether that is true or not, they know the galaxy is watching them now." Through their psychic connection, Tae-ho could sense Nari's satisfaction with these results. But he could also feel something else: excitement and nervousness about something she had not yet told him. "There is something else, is there not?" he asked. Nari smiled. "You know me too well. Yes, there is news. The Galactic Council has made a decision about humanity. The Galactic Council was a group of the most advanced species in their part of space. They made decisions about which species were ready to join the galactic community as equal partners. Until now, humans had been considered too young and unpredictable. What did they decide? They want to offer humanity full membership in the Council. What you and your friends did during the war impressed many species. They saw that humans can be both brave and honorable, that you fight not for conquest, but to protect others." Tae-ho felt a mixture of pride and worry. "That is good news, but I hope humanity is ready for that kind of responsibility." "Every species has growing pains," Nari said. "What matters is that humans have shown you can learn and grow, and you will have allies to help you." They walked together through the palace gardens. Other Villani bowed respectfully as Nari passed, but they also smiled warmly at Tae-ho. Word of what the humans had done had spread throughout Villani space, and they were seen as heroes. "The council session is next week," Nari continued. "They want you to be there when they make the formal offer to humanity." "Me? I am not a diplomat or a government representative." "No, but you are the human who started it all, the one who showed us that your species deserves respect and friendship." They sat down beside a fountain where water danced in impossible patterns, held in place by Villani technology. Tae-ho watched the display, thinking about how much his life had changed since that day on Nexus Station. "Nari, can I ask you something?" "Of course. That day when I helped you, you said I would receive an unimaginable reward. Did you know then what would happen?" Nari was quiet for a moment. "Honestly, no. I thought the reward would be the satisfaction of knowing you had done the right thing. I never imagined it would lead to all this." "So what is the reward?" "The enhanced abilities, the connection between us, humanity joining the Galactic Council." "All of those things," Nari said. "But there is something more. Something I have been trying to find the courage to tell you." She turned to face him, and Tae-ho could see emotions swirling in her large eyes. Through their psychic link, he felt her nervousness and hope. "The Cathara bond between us is more than just a psychic connection," she said. Among my people, it is considered the deepest form of relationship possible. Two beings linked not just mentally, but spiritually. What are you saying? I am saying that I love you, Tae-ho, and through our bond, I know that you feel the same way about me. Tae-ho stared at her, his heart racing. She was right. He did love her. He had been trying not to think about it because it seemed impossible. She was a princess of an advanced alien civilization, and he was just a cargo pilot from Earth. But we are from different species, he said weakly. So? Love does not recognize such boundaries. And our bond proves that humans and Vellani can be more than allies. We can be partners in every sense. What would your people think? What would mine think? Some will disapprove, Nari admitted. But others will see it as a symbol of the friendship between our species. And honestly, I do not care what they think. I care about what we think. Tae-ho took her hands in his. They felt warm and soft, and through their connection he could feel her love flowing toward him like sunlight. I love you too, he said simply. They kissed then, and Tae-ho felt their psychic bond grow even stronger. It was as if two incomplete parts had finally joined together to make something whole. A week later, they stood together in the Great Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council. Representatives from dozens of species filled the chamber, their various forms creating a rainbow of colors and shapes. At the center of the room, the council chairman, a tall being with silver skin and 6 arms, was speaking. The council has reviewed the evidence of humanity's actions during the recent conflict, the chairman said in a voice that somehow translated perfectly into every language. We have concluded that humans possess the qualities necessary for full membership in our community. Applause filled the chamber. Tae-ho saw his friends So-jin, Woo-bin, and Da-yoon in the audience, beaming with pride. Near them sat representatives from Earth's government, looking stunned that their species had been accepted so readily. But more than that, the chairman continued, humans have shown us something we had forgotten. In our pursuit of logic and efficiency, we had lost sight of the importance of courage and compassion. The human willingness to risk everything for others, even strangers, has reminded us of values we once held dear. The chairman gestured toward Tae-ho and Nari. The bond between these two individuals represents the best hope for our future. Different species working together not out of necessity, but out of love and mutual respect. After the ceremony, there was a great celebration. But Tae-ho and Nari slipped away to a quiet balcony overlooking the council city. So what happens now? Tae-ho asked. Now we get to work, Nari said. The council wants us to establish a new organization, the Interspecies Integration Corps. Our job will be to help other species learn to work together the way humans and Vellani have. Us? You, me, your friends, and volunteers from other species who believe in what we are trying to do. So, Jin wants to be our head pilot, Woo Bin our chief engineer, and Da-eun our security chief. Tae-ho smiled. It sounds like we are starting our own little fleet. A fleet dedicated to protecting those who cannot protect themselves and building bridges between species. What do you think? Tae-ho looked out at the city below, where beings from 100 different worlds walked together in peace. He thought about the scared alien woman he had tried to help on Nexus Station, never imagining it would lead to all this. I think, he said, pulling Nari closer, that sometimes the best rewards are the ones you never expected. Their new ship was ready. A month later, It was larger than Tai-Ho's old cargo hauler, with advanced technology provided by the Villani and weapons systems designed by human engineers. The hull bore the symbols of both species, showing that it belonged to no single world, but to the alliance they had built together. As they prepared for their first mission, helping to negotiate peace between two species that had been fighting for generations, Tai-Ho stood on the bridge with his friends and the woman he loved. "You know," Sojin said, "when I first met you, I thought you were just another cargo pilot who would probably get himself killed doing something stupid." "I was," Tai-Ho replied, "and I almost did. But now look at you," Da-Un added. "Captain of your own ship, married to a princess, helping to keep peace in the galaxy." "We are all helping," Tai-Ho corrected. "None of this would have been possible without all of you." Nari squeezed his hand. "Ready for our first official mission, Captain?" Tai-Ho looked around at his crew, his family, really. Through his enhanced senses, he could feel their excitement and determination. They were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. "Ready," he said, and gave the order to engage the engines. As their ship jumped to hyperspace, carrying them toward their first mission, Tai-Ho thought about the journey that had brought him here. It had started with a simple choice: to help someone in trouble because it was the right thing to do. That choice had changed his life in ways he never could have imagined. But the best part was not the fame or the power or even the enhanced abilities. The best part was knowing that he had found his true purpose in life, protecting others and building a galaxy where different species could live together in peace. And he had found love in the most unexpected place of all. The reward had indeed been unimaginable.